So I've been using Tesla's auto insurance company for the last 6 months in my 2021 Model Y. There's some nice pros and there are also some pretty gross cons that are making me want to actually cancel the service. Starting off with the positive, it's really easy to apply and to get this coverage through Tesla auto insurance. Like, you do everything through the app. It asks you the typical questions about your coverage that you want and what kind of car you have. And you can even put other cars that are not Teslas on this plan as well. I also really like that I was able to get coverage like super quickly. I think even the same day. I also really appreciate how transparent Tesla is and how much you're going to be paying every month, like all the fees, which are based on your safety score, which I will talk about in a little bit because I got a bone to pick with it. So it's like if you drive nicely using the safety score, you can actually get discounts on your next month's bill if the system worked really well. We're going to get into that. Another positive is their rates were actually pretty competitive with other companies. I was doing all kinds of research. Tesla was around the same, maybe a little more expensive than other companies. Luckily, I didn't get any wrecks or anything where I had to put a claim through to Tesla Auto. So I actually don't know what that process is like, but all of that would be done theoretically through the app. And yeah, it's pretty like what you see is what you get. And I like the transparency. But now let's talk about the dark side of Tesla Auto insurance, because the biggest con for me is the safety score. So I'm going to show you my actual safety score in the Tesla app. So basically you open it up and you can see your score at the top there, and then it gives you a bunch of these categories that it rates your driving based on how many forward collision warnings you have, hard braking, aggressive turning, unsafe following, excessive speeding, late night driving, forced autopilot disengagements, and unbuckled driving. And then you can like toggle some of these so you can see which dates that you apparently acted a fool while you were driving. And this has a beautiful design. I love the UI for this. It's very seamless. You can even go into your last trip and it'll break down that I started this trip and I had an autopilot session and then I ended the trip. You can even do a daily breakdown so you can see your score per day. So right now I'm at 100 for today. If you go back, I got a 98 the day before, 100, 100, 100, 93. And you can see on the red there that that means I did not do a good job with forward collision warnings, meaning I was going too fast according to the AI's calculations and I wasn't stopping fast enough. And I don't know, I feel like this is where it starts to go downhill for me. But anyway, yeah, you can also see an upcoming premium, which is really nice. So you can see it estimates that I'm going to pay about $119.20. That's just for the Tesla. I do have a second car on my account and that adds about another $120 to $130 per month. I like that you can also see your history of premiums. So you can see it was 123, it was a little higher for the month of March. Then it went down in February, and January it was 137. I think the highest month was the first month. I started this in November of 2023, where my first premium was like $180 plus about $120 or something for my other car. So it was almost like $300. It's pretty expensive. But you can see that as I drove, it went down all the way down from 180 for just the Tesla down to about 123. So that's really not that bad. And like I said, it's pretty competitive. But where the safety score drives me absolutely nuts, it's all an AI based system. And on paper, it looks really cool. It's pretty informative. Like, here's how you're driving. Here's how you could improve your driving a little bit. And it's almost like gamifying your driving, which is kind of interesting and kind of fun, honestly. But the dark side of this is there have been so many times when my car has detected that there was a car incoming and I have to suddenly slam on the brakes, or I'm making a turn and a parked car is there and I'm about to slam into the car, which is totally not true. There have been so many times when the system has messed up and it actually dinged me for all kinds of stuff that were really out of my control. One of the most common dings that I get is unsafe following. And this is pretty sensitive. I mean, you can be pretty far behind a car in front of you and it only tracks it if you're going over 50 miles per hour, not using autopilot or FSD. But if you're just kind of driving, you're just coasting and you're above 50 miles per hour and the car thinks you're a little too close to the car in front of you, even though sometimes someone pulls in front of you on a highway, which happens all the freaking time, you start to get dinged because some idiot just pulled in front of you. And these forward collision warnings are also ridiculous sometimes. Like, I was driving seriously like 1 mile per hour in a Target parking lot. I turned into one of the rows to look for a space or whatever, and there were two cars that are parked right there in their normal spots, not moving. I was barely moving myself and my car thought that I was about to hit these two cars. So it went It did 2 forward collision warnings in a row, even though I was nowhere near these cars. The other category that dings me all the time too is the late night driving thing. It used to be anytime after 10 p.m. to I think 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. And this may vary in the state you live in, but in Texas, it dinged me if I was driving anytime past 10 p.m. And they actually changed that a couple months into me using Tesla Auto to 11 p.m. So that was nice. But there were so many times when I was like, oh my God, it's almost 10 p.m. I got to get home. It's almost like you have a freaking curfew. Like Elon gave us a curfew? Are we automatons at this point? Like, come on now. What if you're at an event, or what if you want to go to a show? You're at a comedy show or a metal show or whatever, and it's getting almost to 10 p.m., but your favorite band is about to play. Well, if you see your favorite band, that's wonderful. But then you get in your car and it's past 10 or 11 p.m. and then it dings you. And all this dinging and stuff is annoying to me because it's not just dinging me and telling me like, oh, I'm a crappy driver. Like, I'm like, whatever, I don't care if AI judges me. But each time you get dinged, that means your safety score could actually go down, which means you could actually pay more in the future. Honestly, most of the time it does a pretty good job, but then there are those dings when, you know, like someone pulls in front of you and all of a sudden you're unsafely following them. Like, there's stuff like that where you can't get around that. And that's another thing, is like, even if it wasn't your fault and you get dinged, there's no way to be like, hey Tesla, can you actually take that ding off, because I didn't actually do that. That was somebody pulling in front of me or whatever. There's no way to change your safety score after the fact. You can't contact customer service and be like, hey, that actually wasn't me. Number one, it's hard to contact customer service because it's almost non-existent. There is a phone number you can call. I did have to call that once, and I did have to wait for like an hour just for somebody to be like, yes, your account does auto-renew the next month. But yeah, this whole safety score thing, I get what they're trying to do. It's nice on paper, but in reality, for me at least, I didn't like all of the ways that it changed the way I drove and kind of made me nervous to drive in a certain way. All of these things for things out of my control with no way to fix it, and then it lowers your safety score. You got to pay more next month because you didn't even mess up because AI thought you did. I mean, it's a flawed system. But let me know what you think down in the comments. What do you think of Tesla auto insurance? Have you tried it? Do you think it's worth it? Or do you think it's a huge sack of Elon horse hockey? Smash all the buttons down below. And if you watched all the way to the end of this video, leave a bear emoji in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.